Oh! Goodbye to Keith. His life was McBrief on that one. It's 1.5 million damage, but they picked off the chin. They're gonna push forward looking for hard, and he's gonna die.
Keith comes out, he gets taken down.
KFO's dead, that's 2 for 0.
It goes down immediately. That's the first Nexus turret that's gonna be eyes on for Team Liquid. The second one gets hit. Team Liquid take down Echo Fox.
I would never judge our players based on what they went through in that first split.
Due to visa issues, Echo Fox failed to submit an eligible roster for today's match against Energy and therefore will forfeit that game.
If anything, I thought they were resilient beyond anything I could have asked of them. They went through the first 4 weeks of their season, in some cases, not even together. They weren't even allowed to compete.
Echo Fox was unable to field an eligible roster yesterday.
You know, there was so much that went on there that to have survived and to make it to 7th, like I stand up and applaud them. Like, you know, it was just that Dignitas game, and that I get emotional about it now. It had that energy at the end of that game where we made it through and secured, 7th place was something I'll never forget. I'll never forget.
He's flashing in. Where's the team? They've got to stop him. He's going for the turret. He's trying to save the game as Big takes up the damage. Keith will be knocking down this turret, but here comes the team. Keith goes down, but here comes Hard. He wants it. He's trying a big pulverize. He's trying to win the game. It's so close, and they get it. Echo Fox, somehow they've won the game. Oh my God!
The 7th place is a result, right? Which I don't really get lost in. I don't get caught up because having been a champion, I know that even when you're at the top and you're holding that trophy, literally maybe 2 minutes to 5 minutes of euphoria is there. And then if you're any type of champion, if you're any type of individual that is driven by maintaining being the best at what you do, you're instantly going to flip into the anxiety of, I must stay here. What do I have to do? I got to get better, right? So if you don't set the goal of becoming a champion, then you'll never move towards that. I'll never forget, Jack said to me, he goes, "Are you going to Korea?" I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm trying to decide whether we're going to go to Korea." And he said, "Well, Andy's going to Korea." And he just started, he said, "Everybody's going to be going to Korea." And it was in that moment that I thought instantly that my players can't be left behind. And I want them to have the same competitive opportunity to improve. And Jack went over and Andy were there. I mean, those owners were there too. You know, we tried to connect, but we were so entrenched in our own boot camps that we didn't spend a ton of time together, but we communicated, and it was a good move on all of our parts because it put our players in a low ping environment and put them in an environment where they were competing against the best teams and the best players in the world. And the teams that were over there in Korea are going to be some of the teams that really show vast improvement this split.
Here we come. Echo Fox to Korea.
I'd never been to Seoul, Korea before. It's my first time. It's league culture, it's staunch, it's deep, it's rich. The players that travel to North America to represent teams here from Korea, the talent is immense. They're some of our best players. I thought it important knowing that we have a Korean player in KFO who had just come over for a split for 6 months, had just been in a country where he didn't speak our language, was forced to communicate with 4 other teammates that didn't understand him and he didn't understand them. Someone that had played in solo queue his entire career, never been on a team. I just had great empathy for him. My son tells me to this day, he says, "Dad, you have this special affinity for KFO. What is that about?" I go, "Well, he had a similar journey that I had. I left my country at a young age to go pursue a career, and I felt alone." I thought it really important for, not only for us to put our team in an environment where they're challenged competitively, but also for them to feel what it felt like for KFO. What it felt like to be in their country, his country, where he's comfortable, where every sign he reads, he understands, and for every thing that pops up on his screen in competition, he understands. Our players didn't. And so they relied on him the same way he relied on them. And it created such growth and greater understanding of him and his culture and greater understanding of him as a player, and it moved our team along. Keith is an example you bring up. I can remember getting on the phone with Keith's mom. As a parent talking to another parent who's letting their son go off to pursue something in a different city when he's just fresh out of high school. And you know, I'll never forget that day. That was one of my first weeks in this organization, really convincing Keith to make that decision to join, but then also following up and having a conversation with his parents, his mom, you know, and it made me realize that I was more than just an owner. I was taking on, and in some cases, some of our players are really young. I was taking on a mentorship role and a role as a parent that really, they were asking me to look out for their son beyond just what their son could do for our organization competitively. It was funny, she's like, I don't want him eating pizza, I want him to go to bed at a certain time. You know, it was like, there were these conversations, I don't want to embarrass Keith, but I don't know if he knows these are the conversations I was having with his mom, but you know, and even hard, Tony, you know, he was 17, wasn't even of 18 yet. And his mom had to sign over guardianship to allow him to come this way. You know, these are big decisions. So to me, you know, really checking in with them, and you know, we at times throughout the year we'd go for a walk around, you know, the neighborhood, just to check in, and especially when there's tough times and things aren't going so well. It's a two-way street. You know, yes, we give them a career by giving them an opportunity, but they also are really good at what they do. A lot of other people would hire them, and so it's upon us to really put them in an environment to succeed, so they want to stay here with us. I was fortunate to have Jerry Buss as an owner, and to me, the greatest owner in NBA history. And I know his affinity for his players and his commitment and love for them, and the lengths with which he would go to really put them first in his organization and support them. So I had that as an example. I was blessed with that. And so entering into ownership, the only way I know how to interact with my players is to be personally invested. I've repeatedly said to them that as a former player myself, it is important that they feel and understand that I get them. I understand their focus and their dedication, their commitment to their own individual careers. You don't sign a contract with Echo Fox just as a player. You know, when you join a family of an organization that cares about you and hopes that you grow to levels where you transition into our front offices and into our organization and have a life in our franchise moving forward. So that requires for me to develop a relationship. It requires for all of us to develop a relationship with our players, to understand them, to understand their interests, to understand what makes them tick, so that we can connect with them and give them what is needed even when they don't know they need it. What I know I want for each of our players, I want them to be champions. Why? I know what it feels like to be a champion. I know what that feels like. It is incredible. It is something that no one can ever take away from you. And I want that for them individually as players. I want that for them as a group of players together. And I want them for that to happen with us.